And we're live. All right. So, just make sure my audio's all right. Everything seems good here. All right. So, what had happened was I decided to start learning a bit of Ruby, a bit of Rails, a bit of React. You know, for some better job opportunities. I've been working the last 5 years a company doing some cold fusion and C# backend and Angular front end work, but I want to pick up some new skills, expand my horizons a bit, and found a interesting job listing that sort of checked all my boxes, but required Rails and React knowledge. So I've been, from the very start of this year, teaching myself Rails and React. And I started with this one demo project that was cobbled together from multiple tutorials, and then from there I fleshed out other features that I felt
Hello everyone and welcome back to the React on Rails.
Were needed in order to really make it a full program. It's on the GitHub actually, and update this description of this video with the link to it. It desperately needs documentation, so at some point I gotta go back in and add code documentation. Gonna get me started on the test cases. In fact, let's just for fun have a quick look at those. CD Ruby log client. This will be funny. Check this out, because I halfway through the project was learning how to implement test cases, wrote all my test cases for the code as it was at that point, and then an entire other half of the project was developed. So, as I'm sure you can imagine, it's just, it's gonna be fun. Yeah, most of them pass. There we go. Yeah. Not very professional, but oh my god. Yeah. But that was just a practice project. We're going to do better this time around. A lot better. Looks like, geez, lit up like Christmas, all that red. But it does work. There we go. Let's mosey on over to localhost. It's not the prettiest thing in the world. I'm not exactly a front-end dev. I'm more of a full-stack developer, which means I suck at everything. But, you know, you got should not have flashed that. I'm going to have to edit that out later. Relevant to the Warehome. It's not a warehouse, it's a Warehome application. And this is just going to be a inventory management application using some of the same underlying administration code, you know, users and settings and whatnot. But, you got your, for this one, you've got posts, comments, pictures. You can paste in a picture into the, if you have anything in your clipboard. So let me just hit print screen here and Control V, and there you go. That's just my first project. It's nothing too fancy. But I'm starting my next project, and I found myself having trouble finding adequate hosting for a portfolio type of project. Heroku is what a lot of people use. But also this project, this next one, the Warehome project, is really meant to be installed on an intranet. You're not supposed to really expose this to the outside. So how do I found myself with the problem, how do I demonstrate this and actually demonstrate my development abilities with this project if it's not really meant to be hosted outside. Like this blog I could put up somewhere, and probably will at some point with all of the posts. You know, that it's kind of meta because this blog actually is a blog of its own development. So all these posts are about the development of this blog for writing these posts. But back to Warehome, I had a thought. What if I just stream the entire development process from start to finish, rather than host a demo of it somewhere? You can actually see not just the program in action, but see how it was made. And maybe we'll learn some things together. Now, I have made a point of not even developing the ER model beyond a rough sketch I have on a piece of paper in my hand right now, because this process is going to include design and implementation, and we might not even get to coding tonight. So first of all, I have two use cases for this. One, I have a little fridge behind me that I keep some wines in of various varietals, and it's a pain because they're on their side to have the door open, letting all the cold air out, pull out a bottle, look at it, see what kind, If I want to pick one out, and I just have a site on my network I go to, and just look through what I have in each section, I could pick one without having to open the door until after I have my pick, and I have where on the shelf they are, right on the site, and mark that it's checked out, then just grab it and go. Simple as. The other use case is every year around Christmas time, I have all these old bins in a closet under the stairs, various decorations in each bin, and it's a pain to go through every single bin to decide what I'm going to put out. Then I have to put everything I don't use back in each bin, put the bins back. Then I don't use everything that I took out. Then I have to get the bins back out, put the shit back in the bin. If I have a catalog of everything I have in every bin and where each bin is, then in mid to late November, go through, pick out everything I'm going to use that year, get it out of its respective bin, make a beeline for each item without having to go, oh wait, did I put this in that bin last year? Or, none of that. It's going to be, we'll be able to know where everything is. Save a lot of time. except for all the time that I'll spend having to first catalog everything, but that's another matter. And what I could do is, one feature I want to implement is being able to print out a QR code on each bin. You scan that, it takes you right to the page for that bin, tells you what's in it. I also want to have nested container objects inside this app so that you can, and I want to keep it as abstract and generic as possible so that, let's say you want to refer to a section of the closet as a container. You know, so you've got section left side, stack A and stack B, and then inside stack A and B is top, middle, and bottom bins, and then inside each of those bins are your items. So containers sort of have parent containers. So the container class will be self-referential in that way, and then you have your item class. And then for each item, I want to have category tags for them, you know, so that you can more easily search for types of items. So maybe you want all your things that have a Santa Claus in them. You just see which bin each item is in from there. The quick view of that. So our ER model is going to look a little something like this. Let's start putting that together. Proposed table. There are no existing tables, first of all. So they're all proposed tables. I start with a blank template for this, so up yours, and up yours. In fact, we don't even need this legend or that or that. You go away. Let's start from scratch. Okay, so first of all, we have our items. All right. Of course, they'll have their ID. Type big in, but that's always the case in Rails. Every item will have a text description. Ugh. Separate notes, also text. So things like maybe this was chipped on this year, repaired that year. You know, be careful of this. Look for it to be wrapped in this material or that material. Things like that. That wouldn't really go in the main description. Just things to be aware of. We would make the description searchable, and we would make the notes not searchable because you don't really need to search for items by whether they're wrapped in bubble wrap or paper towels. That's completely unnecessary. So things like that go in notes, but that'll also be a text field. I said notes plural, you motherfucker. And then of course a picture. Just worth 1,000 words, and our containers will also have picture fields. And application record. Where is it? Yeah, so I'll have one of these going on in there. So we'll have to set that up. But yeah. Oh, and position. So let's see, insert row above. And that's just a short string. You don't need any, because that would just be a short description. And again, that would just be a text description. We're not going to have like position objects or anything. So it's your 255 character limit string there. Just, it's in the middle of the container. It's to the back left corner, etc. Next to this, next to that. Right. Or say in your fridge, third row down, second position from the left. Right. Now from here, have our containers. Okay, of course, ID, description, and notes and pictures are all, in fact, all of these values are relevant to that. But another thing is insert row below, parent, which could be null. And this, insert row below, would have a container. So that kind of looks like there really should only be one class for item then, right? But the main difference is that containers won't have category tags, and items are going to have two classes. A container is just a container. But we're going to actually use a single table, what was it? Single table inheritance, it was called, which we actually have an example of here in the blog code base. For settings, we have our main setting class, and then text setting is a type of setting, and toggle setting. Which is actually how we get these here, because the React side actually checks for the setting type and then determines which form inputs to render based on the setting type. And also that gives us, as you can see here, different validations and whatnot. And with item, you're going to have type. Insert row below. Okay, and we'll just widen that. And those STI class names will be durable and consumable. So durable will have checked out. Oh, there we go. And because of single table inheritance, that means all classes are going to have all columns, even if they're not relevant to that class, that particular subclass, they'll just be blank. So for consumable, you'll have checked out. And for consumable, we'll have quantity. Actually, for both, we could have quantity. We might want to now, this will be one of many. Of course, can I put text on this? I guess I'll just put text here. So this is many parent to children. And this will actually be another thing that sets item and container apart is many to many. And the quantity should actually be on this. So this will be a simple foreign key reference on the container table to itself, right? Because for each container, it will just have a reference to its parent. But this will have to be a through table because there will have to be a join table, but that join table will also have to have, in Rails, there's two ways to do a association table. There's just a straight association table, that's an ID pair, kind of like what I have for user permissions. So I have permissions, but I don't have a user permissions RB because it's just a straight, so has many and belongs to many relations. So it creates a table for that. And we'll demonstrate that here. SAMGV3. All right. So permissions users. Now, and in Rails, it has to be alphabetical. If you try to call it users permissions, the table, then it'll throw a shift fit. So the name actually has to have the two tables it's joining be alphabetical, and this is just a straight ID pair per record. But there's another type of association table in Rails, and that's a through association. So we'll actually need to have another table in here. So let me just delete that. All right. And can I just, I'd have to generate from scratch. No, I'll just copy and paste. Screw that. I really wish that Lucidchart, although maybe it's only because I'm using the free version, had a way to just generate another table. But instead I have to make a white box, and I have to add the green head, etc. But I could just do this, copy, paste, delete all the fields I don't want. But yeah. And we'll just call this, for now, containment. We might change the name later. But it's just, it gets the concept across, so. Right. Each container is unique. Like, you might have 5 purple bins, but the purple bin containing these items and the purple bin containing some other set of items are their own unique bin. Each container is singular. An item you might have a quantity of, and you might have some in one container and some in another. So we're going to actually delete that row. Okay, and we're going to have container, item, quantity, int. I wonder if there's a just delete all rows below this, or oh, fine. Can't select more than one. I was trying to select more than one row. That's not what I wanted. No, actually, the position should be here then, too. Yeah, so let's delete that row. Yeah, position should be on containment. Okay. I'm sorry, but I did not say to do that. Where is it? Delete row is at the top. Keep hitting delete. Container. Delete row. Checked out. And yeah, it should be there. Now there's a quandary. Do we want to have checked out on containment? So say you have 2 of one item, of the durable sort, and you have one removed from one container, but the other not removed from the other container. Except this is only applicable to durable items, not consumable items. And I do kind of want to differentiate that because for consumable items, they wouldn't be deleted. You would just mark that you don't have them anymore. They wouldn't be in the container. They'd be removed from any container. Is checked out more appropriate for containment or for item when it should only pertain to a particular type of item based on its STI type? That's a question. Zero viewers, nice. This is just here for posterity. I'll just like, when I apply for that job, I'm just gonna fucking send them the link to this and hopefully they don't mind all the cursing. Because I keep fucking saying fucking. Well, anyway, I think it's because my tweets get buried. It's because I'm a bad boy. I'm a bad boy on the Twitter. So I get deranked on everything. Maybe I should buy blue. Then people will see when I post the link to the stream. Oh well. Anyway. So this would be nice if someone was here to give their input. Oh well. Should I keep doing this? Yeah, I'm gonna keep doing it anyway for the hell of it. I will stream to 0 viewers for the next 6 months that I'm developing this. I don't care. Costs me nothing to set up a stream and work the same time I would have worked anyway. You know, if you build it, they might not come. Who cares? Anyway. So yeah, containment. Right. Talking to myself. Anyway. That's not even the song. I just made up bullshit lyrics. It's dancing with myself. Hey. What was I doing? Okay, so. Checked out. Como va? This is a different kind of checkout. I think that translates to checkout, but that's check it out, like get a load of this. You know, that Santana song. Oh yeah, never mind. Anyway. Break's over. Back to work. Yeah, I don't have to worry about losing live chat by editing out that one bit. Alright. accidentally showed someone else's email that I have in my invites. Shouldn't be putting other people's emails in my streams. I think that's against TOS. Well, anyway. I'll remove that later. Just snip it out. Give it a little snip. Get a moil in here. Give it a little snip. Okay, it's checked out. See, that's the thing. Checked out only pertains to consumable, but the type should be on the item, not the containment. I mean, and yeah, there should be a quantity of the item too. No, total quantity. No, because total quantity, you could get the item's quantity by just adding up the quantity in all containers anyway. So if it's not in any containers, so consumed. Do we really need a consumable versus durable? Because I was thinking of consumable versus durable classes because, you know, the two use cases. But there's really no difference in the code between how they should be treated ultimately. You know, and if you remove it from the container, if it's something you eat or drink, it's gone. You know, you delete it from the container, you keep the item record for posterity, so you can, you know, maybe you want to look over past purchases, things you've had before in stock, or when you get it back in stock, then you can add some to a container. You know, I got more Tertius Tejo, and I'm putting it on in the bottom section for reds on the third shelf. That's some more. I do not recommend making mulled wine out of that because it came out really bitter, and I think it was I don't think it was the spices. I think it was that particular blend does not work well with that. That was last Tuesday when it was snowing. I did that. It was very bitter. Don't do that. Don't make mulled wine with Tertius Tejo. It's very good to drink, not good to make into mulled wine. It's still going to be my go-to blend, but don't make mulled wine with that. Yeah. Anyway, so checked out should be. Okay. What's going on? It says that video is stuttering. Is my connection bad? Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, checked out should be on the container. And this I think we'll revisit this. We can always add a migration for a type. That's whatever. Yeah, and checked out should be from the container. Yeah, we don't have to. This thing is, if something breaks and it's no longer in any container, and you just want to keep a record of it too. So durable things can be removed permanently. Say you drop and break something, but you want to remember what happened to it next year. So when you go looking for it, you edit your notes to say, I dropped and broke this. It happens. Or, you know, you'll pull an ornament out and, you know, from the way it was stored in the bin, the little finial on top broke off, and now it can't be hung anymore. But you might still hold on to it in that case sometimes, in case you find another finial. But I digress. Sometimes when you have two huskies, one might run into the tree and knock a glass ornament down. It'll shatter on the ground. Not that that happened this year. They're pretty good around the tree, and we don't put the glass stuff too low. Anyway, but just hypothetically, durable things can be, for lack of a better word, consumed anyway. So there really isn't that much of a distinction. So early on when I was thinking, oh, I should have an item type for durable and an item type for consumable, so that, to differentiate between things that you use versus things you take out and put back. But really, in the real world, there's a difference. As far as this application is concerned, there's no real considerable difference in how to represent that in the code. So yeah, quantity and checked out. Yeah, you took them out. Or checked out should be int, actually. I mean, so that's how many should go in that container. So, you got 5 of something that should be in one container and 6 that should be in another, and you've taken out so many from one container. Maybe you needed 7, so you took all 6 from the one container and then 1 from the container that had 5 in it, right? So checked out should be also an integer, actually. So not that, well, now these are missing from this container. You still have 4 in the one container, and all 6 missing from the other container. You got 1 checked out here, you got 6 checked out there. And the quantity denotes how many should be in the container. And when it comes to something consumable, you would simply not check it out. You would delete it from the container, which would delete this association. Or you would reduce the quantity, as the case may be, if you're not consuming all of something. And then you're good to go. You keep the item record, right, in case you get more of the thing, or in case you just want to look over things you've had to get ideas or something. I don't know. It's a number of reasons. We're keeping this abstract. There could be all sorts of motivations for doing something. Who knows what people are thinking when they do what they do. So, remove checked out from here. So ID type. I think we can safely remove this row. That's not happening. That's not a thing. We're not doing STI here. But here's what sets apart a container from an item. A container is just this relationship, and an item is this relationship. The description notes picture. ID description notes. Oh, and an item doesn't have a position on it. The containment does. So, oh, and we don't need that. So, delete row. Yeah. So now we're starting to see a considerable difference between these two classes to justify these being two different classes. Models in the schema. I really shouldn't be confusing terminology by referring to models as classes, but I mean, when you're using ORM, I mean, it's kind of 6 in 1 at that point. So that brings us to, and in Rails, we have a created date and a modified date automatically on every table, but here we're going to have, so I'm going to have to develop the users and permissions system first, which is going to be a little more robust than what I have in the blog. In the blog, what I have is just, your user and permissions. I don't have a roles system. Everyone else uses roles. Everywhere, I happen to be looking for ideas pertaining to this, but I wanted something simple and quick I could implement for this, and there's only a handful of permissions anyway. Here. And yes, these permissions do affect things that are available here. So like the UI does reflect what permissions you have as well. So if you say don't have the article delete permission, then these buttons don't appear. But that's only when you sign back in. So the buttons will stay, but you won't have access to the APIs. So if I were to say to remove my article delete permission, and then go back to the articles page without logging out and in, I'd still see the delete button. I still get the prompt, but if I hit confirm, I would get an error. Now, I do have the permission, so I'm not going to hit confirm, because I won't get an error. And I don't want to delete my posts, because if I do at some point host this somewhere, I'd like to be able to put this same development history back up. But it's a separate matter. But anywho, so I don't care that my email's up here. It's the same email that's on my GitHub, and I'm putting a link to the GitHub at some point. So people are going to find my email address one way or another, because it's in all of the in every commit. If someone were to check out this repo, they'd have my email address. So whatever, who cares? Oh man, drink it in. But anyway, you would see it at first, but then when you log out and back in again, it would reload, and you'd no longer see this delete button here. If you got rid of the update permission, you'd no longer see this edit button. And I also have a nifty little allow self flag that you can put on certain permissions. So if I have or even if I don't have it anymore, let's say it's revoked, but at some point I had the comment creation permission and I created some comments, I would have the ability to delete my own comments, even if I didn't have the comment delete permission. The comment delete permission only gives me the authority to delete other people's comments as well. Even without it, I can still delete my own. So that's a neat little trick. I can flash the code for that real quick up on screen. Authenticated controller. So yeah, we pass a list of actions from some comments controller. So you call it here, and you pass in the model. You pass in the action for each action that you're performing. You pass in a list of actions for which allow self is applicable, as well as the ID for allow self. If you don't have any allow self cases, then you just pass in the model and action, and you don't have to worry about passing any IDs. And then in authenticated controller, where are you? There we go. So if allow self isn't the case, then you check for the permission. But if allow self comes into play, then you do an ID comparison. ID is if the model is user, you're checking your current user ID. Otherwise, you're checking if the user has an association
to something. And if that thing has a user ID, I mean, if that, yeah, you're checking if your user class has a has many for the particular thing that you're checking, and if so, you're getting all of the records that have that user as the user. Or rather, you're getting all the records under the user because you're getting user.comments. So in the case of, say, if I wanted to implement something like this in the in Warehome, what we'd want to do is have on the user's class there, where's user? We'd want to have has many items, has many containers. So for if you're the user that created it, then you'd be allowed to delete it even if you don't normally have the deletion permission. That's something I might implement, but I think it might be better to not leverage that for that. It's an option. I think I might prefer to just play it straight with the permissions, and if you don't have the delete permission and you create something, then you need someone with the delete permission to delete it, especially since it's going to be an intranet thing anyway that's probably going to only ever have one user who's just going to have all the permissions, because with the no, I was thinking just for a half a second there, because with these controllers here, there's articles controller, right? For example, with the blog, you don't have to be logged in to view the blog posts or the comments. Index and show are not checked in the off function. So maybe for Warehome, we don't check index and show, and we allow anyone who accesses that IP on the network to just view everything and read only. But yeah, I don't like that. I think you should have to be logged in, because you have someone come in, you know, borrow your Wi-Fi, and then they can see all your shit. Yeah. So everything's going to have to be permission checked. So you might have someone else in your house who's able to just view and check things out, but they can't create records. But maybe they can create records, but you don't want them to delete things that they create. So I don't think I'm going to leverage the allow self functionality for item and container deletion. I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. That's a long way off. I haven't even written a single line of code yet for this. But the auth logic, the user's logic, etc. from this application I'm going to be reusing, although I'm going to be looking into devise as an option for managing user creation. I sort of rolled my own from the ground up, just as an exercise. Here. Where is it? Yeah, and users on create. Yeah, you can see here. Before create hash password, and that's just generates a UID. to use assault does that, you know. Then authenticate, same deal. See all that on the repo. I'm going to look into using devise for the user table, and then from there building the roles and permission system on top of that. So the big difference between this application and Warehome, besides using devise for user creation, well, I'm not reinventing that horse again, is it's going to be the roles table. It goes in between user and permissions. So, and this will make my endpoints less wonky, because here in user controller I have to have this set permissions API. It's not as cleanly RESTful. If we go to routes, where's routes? You'll see what I mean. It has to be its own whole thing. Whereas with roles, because I want to be able to set all permissions at once. Otherwise, it would have to be user/ID / permission to create each individual permission with one API call per permission, and you don't want that. You want to just pass a list of IDs, and those are the permissions you're applying to that user. With a roles table in between permissions and users, you can now just put or post on the roles path in the API, and your request body would just contain your list of permissions on that role and your list of users on that role. And of course, the permissions to roles would be many to many, and the permissions to the users to roles would be many to many. So a user can wear many hats, so to speak. So we'll have to get into that. So we are going to have, so after all that, so insert row below. Creator, user. So row below, creator, user. Should really be a lowercase. Creator. Okay, insert below. Problem is if we if one user checks out 3 of an item and then another user checks out 2 more of an item, how do we represent that? We have just one checked out by, then that gets overridden, and then we don't know who checked out the first ones. That's checking out might have to be its own table against containment. Okay. So we know who checked it out. Then we, damn. And then what about returning? Think about that. Yeah, checked out. checkouts. We have a checkouts table against the containment table. Right. Checkout quantity user. Checkout quantity user. Yeah. 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 Checkout ID. Big int. Quantity. How many? Yeah. 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 Those arrows might not be facing the right way, but whatever. That's the way I'm using them. Right out the backwards, but at least do them consistently. A little sleepy there. A little eepy. Okay. So I'm just going to do this for 2 hours a night for the foreseeable future, streaming the entire process. That way I make sure I am doing 2 solid hours of work. Block of two, because for that first project I was doing like 20 minutes some nights, and then 3 hours other nights. I want to do this in consistent 2 hours, 8 to 10 every night, indefinitely. Well, not indefinitely. Eventually it'll be done. But let's see. Got that. Problem is I can't even generate these. Well, I can generate these tables without the user references before I decide how I'm going to have users. Because I could just add another migration where I then add the user column. So I do want to start fleshing this out. I at least go in and generate my API. Okay. Yes, I have LS on Windows. Yes, I'm special. You peasants can use dir. I use LS. I use LS because I have... Where the devil did I put it? I also have this command. Oh, sorry. Hold on. That. You ain't got that, do you? No. No. It's called we do a little .bat file and put this here in the path environment variable. But yeah, and then it's just yeah. We do a little trolling, folks. It's called we do a little trolling. All right, so we're gonna do Ruby new API-D MySQL. Oh, oops, server. And now with Heroku, apparently you have to have your server and your client as two separate repos, but I'm definitely not using Heroku for this anyway, because it's an intranet thing. It's supposed to be something you install and use internally. Again, you really don't need to be showing the world the contents of your fridge or your decorations closet. You really don't. There's no reason for that. So, like the blog project before this, I'm going to go ahead and keep the server and the client in one repo for my convenience, because then you just open it all in VS Code, and technically you could have two separate repos and then just both have them both in a parent directory and open that directory in VS Code anyway, so who am I kidding? But I do just want to keep this to one repo. But I might have to split the blog into two if I want to put it on Heroku. Because Bluehost is useless, because they only allow Rails 3, and I developed this in Rails 7. I'm really considering shutting down my Bluehost account at some point, honestly. Get a load of my website. It's... I came over autocomplete? Yeah. One post. One post ever. In 2019. For this. Which I never finished. And what you wind up downloading is just this SVG instead of the SVG it's supposed to generate, which is a cut path for making these shelves. Which I did originally write a simple CLI program in C++ that did that. I was supposed to port it and make a whole web UI that did that, but I just never got around to finishing that project, and it got shelved years ago. Because 2019 was well, actually it was around June 2019 I ended up getting my new job, and then that whole thing fell by the wayside. I never got to finish it. You know, life happened. Life finds a way, but let's see if I can find them their cut paths. Paste this app. Okay, that's the... Neutral shelves. Yeah, that's what the cut paths would look like, and it generates shelves thusly. And I believe... Yep, and them's the shelves that I cut using those cut paths. I have them to this day. They still have all my filaments on them. So, it worked in theory, but I never got to finish Hephaestus to actually be able to generate more arbitrary cut paths for shelves. Yeah, so my point is Bluehost is useless, and I didn't do much with it, and I'm probably going to walk away from that at some point so that I can actually host this thing at some point. But I don't need to post Warehouse because it's an intranet thing. I digress too much. So, yeah.
to at least generate this. Yeah. No such file or directory new. Delete new. How'd that command go again? It's been 2 months since I had to run that command. This is embarrassing. Hold on. Oh no, sorry, it was Rails. Dumbass. Oh, gee, now it works. Go figure. Why isn't it working? Embarrassing. Alright. That's installing. And we gotta read. We gotta get ignore. I wanna cross-reference that with the get ignore in this project. Warehome. Open with code. Okay. Server. Where is the get ignore? Where's the walrus pit? Just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything before I commit this. Public assets. What's public assets? I don't even see an assets directory. Is that just in case you wanted to put something there? And it's only because I generated an API, it's not relevant to that. Okay, so that's whatever. Yeah, so it all seems to be accounted for. Yep. Yeah. It's 112 new files. It's a big old commit. So let's commit that. We have a fresh, unchanged. Alright. Yeah, like I said, my email address is going to be all over these streams. I don't even care. If something happens, I'll deal with it. Just have to get a new email address for important stuff. And turn this one to my designated shitting email address. Okay. Okay, and we'll just, at least get this much done today. Start really coding tomorrow. This is the guy whose videos I was using for the blog. I actually originally built it using Rails guides, right? Are you kidding me? There we go. Using this. I just went through this whole tutorial. First I went through the Ruby itself tutorial on the Ruby Lang website. Then I went through this, built this entire application. Then using that application, instead of starting fresh, looked for a way to convert it to an API. Then found this tutorial series on Rails React apps and built this on top of the original. So there are features
in it that aren't ever covered, such as comments. Comments are never mentioned once in this entire tutorials series. They don't. This guy doesn't in any way cover something that references articles in that way, which is a little bit of an oversight, I feel, but I guess it's not really the main focus. Probably covers things like that in other tutorial series, but I specifically wanted, since I already went through a Rails tutorial, I specifically wanted one for React, and this was adequate. It gave me enough information that I was able to then take it from there and use what I learned here for the articles features to extrapolate and develop out the comments UI and APIs and whatnot to replace the original comments views that you develop as part of the first tutorial. And so I sort of combined the knowledge from those two series and then worked out other things that I wanted to do, such as auth. Like neither of them covered authentication, a user's table, any of that. So I had to work that all out from scratch on my own. I think I did a pretty okay-ish job of that. Certainly helps that I have years and years of development experience in other languages doing more or less the same thing in Angular and Cold Fusion and C#. But I resisted the temptation to just look at other code from other projects of mine and just port it to Ruby and React. I wrote it all from the ground up. But there are some influences based on, my own memory of how I implemented this or that. So there are some things that might have leaked through, inspirations, so to speak, drawn from other projects, but I made a point of writing it, not just porting or copying. And that is an important distinction. So back to this user. There's the trouble. I'm going to have to look into devise because I need to decide how I want to do the users. Do I want to just make it the same way I did in blog, where I generate my own user table, my own, I mean, I have all that code written, I would just be able to copy it right over. And then I would just insert the roles table. Or do I want to look into what devise has to offer, because that's what everyone else seems to use, and that just gives you an entire scaffold right out the gate, right out the box with create, users, login, etc. At least from what I could tell. So I really do need to look into that and decide how I'm doing that before I can implement anything else. I mean, I could develop all these other features first and then add authentication at the end, because that's kind of what I did for blog, where you would just have all of the APIs exposed without being logged in. And anyone, while the server's running, could just technically go, well, except for the fact that it wasn't exposed to the network anyway, because it's just on local. You have to specifically configure it anyway to, and also there's no one else really on my network. But that's neither here nor there, but just nitpicking at myself, to myself. for no particular reason at all. I'm rambling. But yeah, the APIs are just exposed, unauthenticated, but it doesn't really matter because when you run the Rails server in dev mode, unless you specifically, I actually have a post on that. Not sure. There we go. Yeah, you'd have to specifically do this to expose it to your network anyway. You have to add stuff to cores, run the server with the -b flag. Otherwise, this just isn't accessible from anything else on the network. I did play with this that day in January, and I was looking at this on my phone. Although it didn't look anything like this yet because that was January 18th, and now I completed the work in on February 17th or 18th. A little past midnight. So I looked at something, but it certainly wasn't this yet. Let's see. Yeah, it would have been all white. It would have been. Yeah, it was not pretty yet. I should have a picture of what it used to look like on one of these posts. Let's see. Oh, yeah. That's what it used to look like. Yeah, it sure wasn't pretty. But yeah, it's pretty well fleshed out and fairly feature complete application now. That's what I'm aiming for with this. Yeah, so anyway, the point is I could just not flesh out the users' tables and whatnot on the Warehome application until later and just have exposed APIs because they are not exposed to the network unless you explicitly run the server to expose it to the network. So that's an option. So I could just put this off for later just so that I can make some progress. That's an option. I feel like I spend a lot more time explaining myself than getting anything done when I'm doing it as a stream, so this might wind up making the whole process a lot slower. I have to wonder if it's worth it. Maybe I should just do periodic updates. Write my code, do a stream with the update. No one's watching this shit anyway. Right? Yeah, nobody's watching this shit. Who cares? Who wants to watch 2 hours of someone else developing an application, really? Couple. Where is it? I mean, supposedly about 7 people do. Supposedly, but they ain't here now, so. Yeah, there's a difference between it's cool to think that somewhere out there in the world there's someone doing that, and I would actually watch that. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. People like the idea that someone out there is doing it, but nobody wants to actually watch it, because who the fuck would? Know what I'm saying? So I get it. I think I'll keep doing it. Who knows? Maybe I'll go completely insane by the end of it. All right. So, category. Let's at least get this ER model done. No more dilly-dallying. Let's get this ER model done tonight. I mean, we don't have to model out the user system because we know what that looks like. There's roles, permissions, etc. out here, and then users touch all these. Whatever. You all know the score. Okay, so let's get another table here for category. Now, I was torn between having category and subcategory separate tables. And then the item would have subcategories, and you'd have a drop down for a category when selecting subcategories, but wouldn't actually associate the category to the item. Category would just be a way of organizing subcategories so that you could have them grouped together. Easier to find. So you select your category, you select your subcategory gets associated to the item. And the category table is purely for the sake of organizing the UI. However, you can get really granular. Kind of torn. I know some systems, some that I can name, some that I've personally been involved with the development of. Some I've regrettably been involved with the development of because, well, there's a whole other story there that I probably shouldn't be telling, but that guy's long gone anyway. There was a guy who was supposed to develop a thing at my current employer, and he did not. And then I had to pick up the pieces of his abandoned project. And that had a category and subcategory system where the category table was just for the sake of the UI. So you don't see, because if there was just a single categories table, and your item goes in their category, but the category was super granular, it would be too long of a list to go through. It would be, but if you have category and subcategory, and your subcategory is granular, you know. So, for example, category wine, subcategory red, subcategory Cabernet Sauvignon, Sangiovese, you know, that sort of thing. Category, tree ornaments, subcategory, you know, maybe you got one for your, if you've got different sets of tree ornaments for different, depending on what tree you're putting up that year. You know, you have the one tree, but you have different themes for it. Like, I have some black ornaments and some red ornaments, and sometimes I decorate the tree to look like one thing, sometimes another. Some years I make it look like a snowman. You know, so I might have a category for tree ornaments, subcategory snowman tree, etc. It's the same like tree, it just depends what ornaments I'm putting on. And then of course within that subcategory you've got your 3 black ornaments for the coal, you've got your the head topper, that sort of thing. You always got to think in terms of the use case. Why are we writing it this way? Why are we designing it this way? What is it supposed to accomplish?
It's just how I approach it. It's how most people approach it, I think. I don't know. My career, I've been kind of working in small, insular groups. Never really set out into the world, into the wider industry. I always worked for small companies, small teams, the same people sometimes at different companies. So kind of been living under a rock. Anyway, category ID. These little things I let slip out are gonna be how I become a lolcow, aren't I? Aren't they? Oh, whatever. Anyway, uh, so category. But anyway, what I ultimately came to was just recursion again, like with the container. So you add an item to any given level of category. So that gives you the flexibility depending on the use case. So for wine, you might want to have a red category and then just subcategories for different varietals. You know, one for blend. There always be a blend. So you've got your blend subcategory under red and your blend subcategory under white. Then for the decorations, you know, you'll have your animatronics category, and then your Santa category. I can't really think of any example that's 3 deep though. Every example I can think of is only 2 deep, so maybe complicating this with recursion when, because here's the thing, once it comes time to build the UI, what you want is when you click a category, you want to see everything in that category, and that includes everything in any category under that category, right? This differs from the container. I don't have to worry about the implications of recursion for the container like that, because when you say click left side of the closet, you don't care what's in each bin yet. You just want to see stack A and stack B, and then when you click stack A, you want to see bin A, bin B, bin C, and then when you click bin B, then you want to see the items that are in bin B, you know? You don't want to see a display of every item in every bin in every section in each stack of that section in the section view. That would be useless and a mess. You want to go through each bin and navigate in that manner. That would take you to the next container ID page, which would show you the containers in that container. And of course, a container can contain both containers and items, but it would show you the contents of that container, but not the contents of the containers contained in that container, because you don't care about that yet. But if you're searching for an item, then it'll show you what container it's in on that item page. And then, you know, you can see what container that container's in and so on, and work back up the chain. But with category, if I am on the red category page, the red wine category page, I want to see all my red wines. Then I want to just see a list of subcategories that I then also have to click through. I want to see both, actually. I want to see all wines that fall under that and a list of subcategories maybe on the left side. And I click one of those, and then it reduces the result set. So that's how category and container differ.
So recursion might not be great because I've worked with something like that on another application, and the queries for that, where they insist that all the items 20 subfolders deep have to be visible when you click this folder. It's a performance nightmare. Counting how many items are in something is a performance nightmare recursively, so there has to be a background task just updating a column that shows how many are in it rather than calculating when you request that folder. So because I want to view all of the contents of a category, I think I might want to avoid recursion. I had it on this sheet because I might have been thinking in terms of how many levels of granularity I might like to have, but I don't think I need to go that granular. I mean, it's animatronics, Santa, you know. It's ornaments, gold, and then, you know, you have your gold snowflakes, your gold baubles. And by gold, I mean plastic, of course. By gold, I mean plastic painted gold. I mean cheap, cheap, cheap plastic gold. You know, but gold snowflakes. So ornaments, your gold ornaments, and then, you know, you're not going to have another subcategory for snowflakes. You're just going to have your snowflakes as your item, your gold snowflake item, under the subcategory gold, under the category ornaments, right? You know. Garland. So, but the trouble is if it's just the static two tables and we have something like Garland, right? You know, you have your red garland, you have your red garland with the little plastic, flat plastic, light looking things sticking off of them. You've got your red and green garland, you got your gold garland, you got your gold and silver and your gold and white garland, you got your beaded garland. It's really not a category and subcategory, it's just, well, there is the beaded garland. So in that case, yeah, there's a category and subcategory. Soft and hard, because you've got your, everything really does just fit into a category and subcategory if you think about it. Every item in existence. The entire field of biology just got totally wrecked, just on its head. When you're talking about clades and classes and families and genuses, everything could just be a category and a subcategory. You all know it deep down, that's why you refer to everything by its genus and species. You knew it all along. You know it to be true. Everything above genus is just an illusion. It's all fake, it's all made up. Everything can just be identified by two terms. Don't listen to biologists, they've been defrauding us all for years. So yeah, but there should just be a category and subcategory, right? So subcategory has category and item has subcategory. And when you click a category, you'll see all the items in all the subcategories under that category. A subcategory, you'll see all the items in that subcategory. No recursion. We do not want recursion for this. It works for containers, it does not work for categories. So we're going to have category and subcategory. All right. My ass is killing me. Back is killing me. Sitting here in this chair like this. All right. I'm old. I'm old and my bones ache. All right. So, yeah. So, garland, hard and soft, you know. That's one way to describe it, you know, because you got your fluffy garland. I mean, well, actually, there's three because there's also there's three subcategories of garland. Because we also got those. Jesus, can't think of the right word to describe it. That's one word to use for it, but like, what do they? Yeah, because I mean, you got you got your pine garland. You know, you got this here garland. We actually have three of this sort that looks roughly like that. We did not pay $99 for ours. We paid $20 for ours, but something roughly like this that we put up in the doorways. There, you got your various kinds of bead garland, right? Something like that. I've actually got actually have some gold beads that are sort of flat, and I got another set that are like pearly. So those would all fall under the subcategory of bead garland, and then you got your I guess soft garland. Not soft garland, like tinsel garland. Tinsel garland. That would be the word for it. You got your tinsel garland, yeah. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, so these would be your subcategories of your garland. There. Right. And when you click the link to see garland, you get the garland category page, and you'd see all your items that fall under all subcategories of garland. And of course, you want many to many. You want a many to many relationship between item and subcategory, because an item can be more than one thing, you know? And more than one item can be that thing, so we've got category and so ID. Yeah. Insert row above. Okay. No. Insert row below. Okay, there we go. Category, name, string, description, text, notes. We do not need a notes field for categories and subcategories, but a description is nice. Do we really need an exemplar picture for categories? I don't think so. And creator, why not? Okay. And subcategories, of course. Subcategory, ID, name, description, and then, of course, one other little detail there. Category. Category. Okay, and container. And then, of course, Has many and belongs to many. Beautiful. I think that's it. I think that's our ER model. And it only took us the entire 2 hours I set aside for the stream to do it almost. Got like 20 minutes left. The worst part is I had most of this already written down. Well, not so much the containment and checkout. I really did rework it. The might post the picture later of the drawn diagram I have. What's funny is I originally had category and subcategory, crossed that out, and then replaced that with the the recursive category within category schema design that we now sort of walk back from. So yeah, I think that about does it though. I think this is what we want to accomplish. Yeah. I think at some point I might have been thinking, you know, category wine, and then under that category red, then under that your varietal as a category, right? But there's, you know, because if you want to get super granular, you could have consumable category, getting back to consumable versus durable, and list all your consumables, you know. But why would you want to do that? That's the thing. All right, you don't really want to be, say you got your wine fridge, and then maybe you've got, oh, maybe you've got just your regular fridge for some reason on here, which would be kind of silly because that's something you're taking things out of way too frequently for this to be a practical use. But let's just say hypothetically you put your regular fridge and you want to see your craft singles at the same time as your wine for some reason. That's not a real world use case that's done. No one would do that. There's no point to that. So having, well, here's the food category, food and drink, and then within that is food and drink. And then within that, you know, that way you can see your milk. Okay, my milk is here in the fridge where it always is. You would never use this application for that. That would be silly. Anyway, if anyone tries to, I'll just find them and slap them. Don't do that. Don't abuse my code like that. How dare you? I didn't say you could do that. I'm explicitly saying you can't. I know it's under the MIT license, but if you put your milk under this, I'm going to fine you. If at the end of this, I develop this, and you go putting your milk up, you set this up, you set yourself up a little server on your network, and you put your milk on it, I'm going to fine you. Okay? Don't put your milk on this shit. This is not for milk. This is for things you might be holding on to for weeks or months. If you hold on to your milk that long, you know, I hope you do drink it. I hope you do. I hope you do. If you put your milk into this system and hold on to it for 5 months, I hope you do drink it. There. I said it. I hope you do. Go for it. Put your milk on. Put your milk on. Keep your milk in the system for 5 months and then drink that. Go ahead. Go ahead. Make my day. Put your milk in. I don't care. See what happens. Hold on. Let's see. This is what you'll be seeing. This is what you'll be seeing from the afterlife. Okay, saying your initials. That's what you're going to be seeing. Think about that. Is that what you want? Is that what you really want? Go ahead. Go ahead. Put the milk in. I don't care. But yeah. So, no practical use for recursive categories, really, is the point. I'm racking my brain to think of a practical use. Right, so, right, the closest I can come up with is wine, red, varietal. You know, wine, red, Sangiovese, wine, red, Cabernet Sauvignon, because now you're 3 deep now. So category and subcategory doesn't cover that, but I mean, do you really need a wine super category over red wine and white wine? Really? I mean, you just, if you want them to show up near each other alphabetically, wine comma red, wine comma white, wine colon red, wine colon white. Boom. So you put that intermediate category within the category name, or you put the super category, you prepend the super category to the name, and it does anything you would need it to do at that point. Right? Do you really want to have to click on wine, then click on red or white anyway? Do you really prefer that as a workflow over scrolling to the wine comma red, wine comma white, and just clicking on the correct one of the two that you want based on what you want to look at and going from there, So it's category, subcategory. I mean, that's it. I mean, you want to keep track of what's in a first aid kit. You want to keep track of what's in your closet in your bathroom altogether, you have toiletries, toilet paper, cleaners, toilet bowl cleaner, cleaners, sprays, scrubbing bubbles is the item. You got cleaners, sprays, Windex for your mirror. I don't know why you would use this for that, but let's say you did. You really only need two levels of categorization for really anything. Trying to think. I mean, you got your bar soap, you got your liquid soap, you got your subcategory and subcategory is adequate to describe pretty much anything, And then you might want to have a animatronics animatronic Santa's a subcategory for like your Santa feeding Rudolph and your Santa sitting at his desk writing, and your, you know, maybe you've got some ancient animatronics in your closet from the 90s that were like $15 back then, but who knows what inflation. I don't know. Let's say hypothetically you have these things, just hypothetically, in a closet somewhere, collecting dust, and you break them out once a year and blow the dust off them and plug them in, and it's kind of a fire hazard, but you just roll with it. You know, but then you might want to have, and here's the point of having the many-to-many relationship between item and subcategory is you might want to have just a Santa's subcategory for anything Santa. So you have category concepts subcategory Santa. So your animatronic Santa will be in both subcategories. That way, if you're like, okay, just show me anything Santa, you look at your Santa subcategory of concepts instead of your Santa subcategory of animatronics, and you've put anything that's Santa in the former. You know, so then you go, okay, well, there's my Santa Claus cookie jar, there's my bear that looks like Santa Claus, there's my various Santa Claus ornaments, there's the Santa Claus tree topper, etc. You know, so you go in and show me anything Santa. So when it comes to the UI, I have to make sure that the subcategories, because the subcategory, two different subcategories of two different categories could have the same name, but mean something slightly different. Because Santa anything and Santa animatronic means two different things, and would have two different result sets, although one would technically happen to be a subset of the other. That's only a coincidence of this particular example. That might not always be the case, but that way, you know, you just want to find all your Santa related stuff because that's what you're looking for the theme that year. Yeah. So when it comes to the UI, I'll want to make sure that when you, because it'll probably be, let me see if I can find it. Let's go to MUI real quick. We're looking for those little who's-its, little pills, little badge. It's badge or chip or something. Chip, maybe. Yeah, these. You're going to see a bunch of these across. Actually, specifically these. You're going to be looking at these up at the top of the screen here with the categories you have selected to view things in. And got to make sure that it doesn't just say Santa twice if you're looking at both of these together and you want to see the union of those two categories and the items therein. I'll have to make sure that when you select the subcategory to view, and you wouldn't be, you could select a category to view, a category or subcategory to view, yeah. But if you select the subcategory to view, I should make sure that within the text of this chip, the category name appears as well. So it's category : subcategory. That way it doesn't just say Santa, Santa, and you're like, okay, well, which of these do I want to dismiss now because I only want to look at the one and not the other. So have to be sure that the category name and the subcategory name display in this chip, so so that say you're looking at, instead of just all Santa, maybe you're looking at both category animatronics, subcategory Santa, and category tree ornament, subcategory Santa at the same time. I don't want it to just display Santa, and you're like, okay, well, which is which? You know. So there's that. But then, yeah, that way you can have a third category concepts that you put Santa under, and then you would just, when you're creating each item entry, if you're animatronic Santa Claus feeding a reindeer, you would add both the animatronics Santa category and the concepts Santa category. But that's really just up to the user. That's not inherent in the code. And anyway, that's just what the way this is being designed allows a user to do. That's how one might best make use of this feature. But yeah, so I think this serves our purposes. This gets the job done. Didn't get a single line of code written. Go ahead and generate the client real quick. Error occurred while installing. Oh, shit. Okay, I gotta fix that later. Why? Oh, that's right. I needed a special. I needed to tell it where something was. Ugh. Huh? Alright, well, let's do that on stream real quick. And I dropped my mouse. Oh boy, what a mess. What happened? Okay, so let's fix this. That's right, there was a hole. How did I do that? Something like this. I remember I had to use particular. I remember I had to use 3 extra flags. Let's connect to C++. And I know I have my SQL connector C++ somewhere on here. Jeez. Jeez. Let's show how that's done. Nice. Okay. Where are you? Program files. MySQL. connector. That's only there. Yeah, so so you have to go to here. So you have to have MySQL connector C++ installed, and there's a 64. There's an include, and there's a bin, and you have to set the flags there. So how far along did it get? I should not have pushed that. Ugh. Yeah. Gotta define that, yeah. I wonder if I can just start over using new, so I don't have to. How the devil did that go again? Might have been here. Let's use all three. I remember there were 3 commands. Ruby. I should have saved that. No, that's not that. Jeez, I should have saved that command when I worked it out. That was a month ago. I'll try this. But I know you had to set 3. Ow. Ugh. Yeah, my problem is I think it should be fine. I don't think I have to remake it, but gem install. I remember I had to use 3 flags last time I did this. Okay. Yeah, I have installed. I have C++ connector, and I know it works with C++ connector because, for Christ's sake, that application works. Uninstall. Gem install. I see. Let's see, that shouldn't work though, because I still need to define lib. Alright. Still have to define lib, but I don't remember the exact flag. Oh, here we go. With MySQL lib, with MySQL. Yeah, so. There we go. Gives you the flags. This should do it. Oh, shit. First of all, yeah. Second of all, ugh, fucker. Slash include slash lib64. Oh, for crying out loud. Really, dude? Lib. Yeah, well, now this is documented for posterity, and if we end the stream here, it'll be a lot easier to find. Assuming this works. Once I've confirmed it works. I think starting tomorrow, I'll be writing the API, and then, or start writing the API. I don't want to get too far ahead with the API and then not have any UI to call it with, because I don't want to be fiddling with Fiddler forever. I'll start writing the API tomorrow, as you do. This could take a while, huh? I wonder if it's possible to use those flags when first generating a. Let's make sure this actually works when generating. Okay, so there we go. Now let's see if yeah, no. That's all within the git ignore anyway, so it would make a difference. So now let's go cd install platform equals Ruby blah blah blah. Let's copy that. Rails new delete this dir SQL. Fucker. Now I gotta go all the way back to. I want to see something. What if we do all of that at once? Let's do a little science. It's called We Do a Little Science. We do a little science. And go figure. We have it just works and there was no issues. Okay. Okay, so 6 gems, 65 gems installed. See, once you install the gem properly like that, and it's installed in your... I don't know why when you make a new program with that, you need to have the same flags again. That's what I don't get. It's already been installed properly. That's it. Whatever. Okay. Initialize the repository. Create app facets. Config manifest. Blah blah blah. Create lib. Temp. Change. Okay. Build error field. Okay. It doesn't tell you. It doesn't tell you if the other, how many other gems were installed. Okay. File, compare directories. Okay. Ruby. Pain in the ass. D. Ruby. Warehome server. Ugh. Oh, you pain. Control A doesn't work. Gonna bloop bloop at me? Screw you. Okay, gem file. More recent. Bundle.cmd. Oh. Oh. Okay, that's irrelevant. Irrelevant. Database. Okay, so that's meaningless. Okay, that's meaningless. Seven 7.1.3. Interesting. Enter testing. So my gems weren't properly installed. In enter testing. Man. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna try something quick. Because I want to make sure that I don't have issues down the road. We're going to rename that to server back. We're going to cd into Warehome. We're going to rerun this. Server. Make sure this gets run right. I want to make sure that there isn't something missing and that I don't have to rerun the gem installation or anything. What a pain. What a pain. There we go. Okay, so we got server. So now if we go to our Git, we got so 3. All right. And let me just go ahead and delete the back, right? And just, yeah. Bundle. Yeah. I want to find out the hard way what that being missing means. Not sure why it was 0.3 that time instead of 2. I wonder what the other one was. Yeah, it's 7.1.2. Did they just happen to make 0.3 the official stable in the middle of this? And now every subsequent one. Time for a little more science. Don't worry about MySQL. New. And it'll just be on the old SQLite. All right, Ruby. Delete this as well. Gem file. Huh. Yeah, 0.3. I'll be a monkey's uncle. They must have just made 0.3 the stable. Then now is the one you get by default when you make a new project. While I was in the middle of the stream. Or something. I don't know. I don't know how else to explain that behavior. Now, delete this as well. Delete this dir, yeah, don't mind if I do. Delete me, yeah, I will actually. Delete you. Okay, so all the things that said to be deleted, I deleted. Yeah. Get Warehome server. Yeah, and I guess we'll just call that upgrade to I wonder if this is because it's 0.3 now. or if it's because it was successful. Too many variables. No, this wasn't very good science. Well, actually, we can fix that. Let's control for that variable. In the name of science. I am well over. I am 20 minutes over now. I wanted to go 8 to 10. Okay, so. Okay, that didn't fail. Why didn't that fail? Why did the other one fail? It kill. Breaking my balls. You're breaking my balls. You're telling me. Why was there an error? I knew it. I was certain when you install the gem in Ruby as part of your Ruby installation, your gem's in your Ruby directory on C, with those flags, it should be built. And then any subsequent project you generate using -d MySQL, you shouldn't need all those. And you. No rhyme or reason. Extraordinary, is it? Well, I wonder, what if I reboot? What if I reboot and then try without the flags that point to the directory it has to build against? Or what if, hold on, maybe it's saved in that session, so I go cd ruby rails new kill me now. It should fail, right? No, of course not. Okay. Whatever. Kill me now. Kill me now. Like it says, kill me now. Whatever. Well, I'm in 713 instead of 712 now, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. That's cool. But does this have a server bin bundle? Server. App bin bundle. Okay, so the bundle file being missing is a problem, definitely. But now it's not because I did it right. I was missing the bundle file because of the failed compilation of the MySQL gem. Which, yeah, when I made this project, I had to do the gem install like I did, you saw on the stream earlier, gem install to install the MySQL gem, and it was a huge headache installing it in such a way that it actually utilized the connector properly and didn't fail to build. And then I did Rails new to create this app, which I then renamed to server at one point, because then I added the client, the React client, but I'm talking back when it was using the views. App. Where are you? Views. Yeah, back when it was using these ERB views. And just, you know, from the point of making the project on, it just worked. I didn't have that same error that I had. So I had to install. I had to reinstall the gem in Ruby and then I can make the app. I can make a new API application without having to define those flags. Why did I have to reinstall the gem though? It was already installed properly. I should just be able to, and I can now apparently just say Rails new project name -- API -D MySQL. I don't know why I got that error, but it's cleared now. It's cleared now. That was nonsense. That was a huge waste of the last half hour. I have other things I could be doing with my time. I was supposed to be done half an hour ago, and then I ran into that error. That was a huge. Well, whatever. We went over, but error's cleared. So how to clear it? You need to install MySQL connector. Bunch of people online when I was researching this problem in early January were saying, oh, you can't use C++, you have to use C, and the latest one is 6, so you just have to settle for 6. C++ works. You just have to use it. You just have to make sure you set all 3 of those flags, and it will just work. Why it stopped working randomly for me and I had to reinstall the gem before I could make the project, I don't know, but it works. I'll just have to push these changes real quick. Corrected. There we go. That still doesn't work. I have to see what's wrong with this version and get extensions that there's no file tree view. That it's all borked. So, whatever. I wonder what this is. I mean, it's not in the git ignore, so it's probably something, it's presumably something that you can let the general public see with that issue because, I mean, it winds up on the repo. Yeah, so, I mean, we're good. We're good now. I got a bunch of bullshit directories I gotta delete now, though. Maybe, yeah. Delete this as well. Kill me now, etc. Yeah, I'll have to do my recycle bin later, but yeah, that's it. We got the we got our API built at least, so we can start coding, and we got the ER model fleshed out, and I am exhausted. So that's that. Next time tomorrow. Same time tomorrow. Jesus Christ. Same time. I am exhausted. Same time tomorrow. And your stream will not stop immediately, and you'll. Oh, your stream will stop immediately, and you'll want to be live. Yeah, that's what I want. Yes. Thank you, YouTube. Bye.